Imagine an island immersed in tranquility and natural beauty, where prisoners live in cottages, occasionally sailing to civilization by yacht. This is the Bastøy prison. Here in this isolated area of Norway live many people whose mistakes have led them to imprisonment. However, instead of a terrible prison, they ended up in a closed community that even those about to regain their freedom are in no rush to leave. By walking or cycling across the island, prisoners enjoy freedom in the open air, leading a measured and modest lifestyle. Here, unlike the harsh cells, all the amenities you would expect in the best hotels are provided. Those who are there are even given the chance to learn and grow. Each house is surrounded by untouched forests. The inmates manage their daily routines themselves, working in the garden or taking care of animals. In true Scandinavian style, everything is aimed at creating harmony and social well-being. The recidivism rate after staying in this prison is minimal. Many of the wealthy prisoners are rethinking their priorities. They reconnect with nature and learn that true luxury lies in the simplicity of being. Cordillera in Chile. Unlike other Chilean prisons, the conditions in Cordillera were outrageously luxurious. Imagine individual cells with their own bathrooms, TVs, and even exercise machines. The prisoners, many of whom were high-ranking officers and generals, lived in an atmosphere of comfort, while their victims and their families continued to suffer. It was a place where those convicted of violent crimes enjoyed privileges as if they were at a resort. They are said to have had access to telephones and the internet, were able to communicate with their families and even host parties. All this provoked indignation in Yucatecan society, which saw it as an insult to the memory of the victims of the dictatorship. A particular scandal erupted when inmates held a barbecue right on the prison grounds, complete with music and dancing. Photos of the celebration were leaked to the press, causing an outburst of anger. People couldn't believe that such criminals could serve their sentences in such comfort. The Cordillera became a symbol of impunity and injustice. It showed how wealth can distort even the best intentions and create privileged conditions for those guilty of the most serious crimes. For Chileans, it was an open wound, a reminder of the dark years of history. The expensive prison life in Colombia. Probably, not many people think about the fact that life behind bars can be luxurious, especially in the La Picota prison in Colombia, where the seemingly harsh environment manages to transform into something almost as exquisite as freedom. Here, the days and nights of the wealthy prisoners are filled with much more than just dull routines and expectations. Instead, there are parties that resemble fancy events outside the prison, complete with gourmet food and drinks. The incredible influence and financial resources of billionaires allowed them to furnish their cells with expensive furnishings and all the benefits, which can only be imagined in such conditions. Inmates become the masters of their own fate, throwing envy-inducing events that are out of reach for many free people. But there are other stories, like Escape Matamba. This man showed that money can open almost any door, including prison doors. With the help of bribed guards, he managed to break free from that prison. His act only highlights that wealthy inmates can not only create a life in a cage, but can also, if they wish, escape it. In the suburbs of Stockholm, nestled among quiet forests and well-kept streets, lies the Sollentuna prison, an establishment whose reputation is far from the grim images usually associated with places of incarceration. Sollentuna, built in the mid-20th century. It stands out for its unique philosophy of rehabilitation and resocialization, as well as its unusual living conditions. From the outside, Sollentuna prison looks more like a modern college campus than a traditional prison. The buildings here are bright and spacious, with large windows and green lawns. Here, inmates have the opportunity to move freely around the grounds, participate in various educational and vocational programs, as well as engage in sports and creative activities. There's a library, a gym, a music studio, and even a small farm where inmates can take care of animals. One of the main features of Sollentuna is its focus on resocialization and preparing inmates for their return to society. Prison programs are aimed at developing the skills necessary for a successful adaptation after release, such as cooking and improving one's appearance. Specially equipped rooms for visits are designed to maintain family ties and help inmates keep relationships with their loved ones. However, Sollentuna is not a paradise for criminals. There are also strict rules and restrictions in place to ensure safety and order. But unlike other prison programs, prisons, here the focus is not on punishment, but on rehabilitation. and reintegrating inmates back into society. In Austria, nestled against the backdrop of the Alpine landscape, lies the one-of-a-kind Justice Center Leoben, which literally translates to Justice Center in Leoben. While the world is accustomed to seeing prison life as harsh, here everything is different. Stunning contemporary architecture greets new arrivals with tall glass windows and landscaped gardens. Inmates enjoy an environment that feels more like a boutique hotel than a correctional facility. Each chamber, more like a cozy room, has a view of. Lush green surroundings provide space and light. Modern amenities include fitness rooms, libraries, and recreation areas, which far exceeds the standard idea of prison life, turning it into a full-fledged rehabilitation experience. Here at the Justice Center, Leoben, wealthy inmates are rediscovering the ability to appreciate simple moments and rethink their priorities. Far away from the chaos of the outside world. Conceived as a model for a humane approach to justice, Leoben challenges stereotypes about prisons by offering hope for rehabilitation. And a second chance even for those who thought all was lost. So, who said that such a system can't be a doorway to new opportunities? In the heart of Jakarta lies the unusual Pandak Bamboo Prison, where the concept of incarceration takes on a different meaning for wealthy inmates. Let me tell you about a remarkable episode involving Ratu Atu Hasa, a former governor who ended up here for corruption. Contrary to expectations, her stay resembled a luxury sanatorium more than modest prison conditions. The spacious cell where Hasa lived resembled a loft with wooden floors and elegant curtains. In the center of the room stood a large bed with a soft headboard, a comfort that an ordinary prisoner could only dream of. A flat-screen TV, where she could watch the latest movies, and a powerful air conditioner to keep her at a comfortable temperature on the hot Indonesian afternoon. All this was ensured by the state of Hasa, who knew how to make herself comfortable even in the most unexpected circumstances. Thus, in the environment of luxury, a prison term for billionaires becomes just an annoying stop in the turbulent flow of a serene life, while other inmates serve their time in agony. When I think of prisons, strict discipline comes to mind. Cold concrete walls and feeling. Complete isolation. But there are facilities that amaze even the most jaded, wealthy people. Take, for example, Halden Prison in Norway and a few similar institutions around the world. In these prisons there are billionaires. As paradoxical as it sounds, they serve their time in apartments comparable to five-star hotels. But what the privileged really enjoy, especially, is the ability to host their families in comfortable conditions. They have access to personal kitchens for cooking, big-screen TVs, and even recording studios. But what is privileged, especially in taste, is the opportunity to host their families in comfortable conditions. Some well-known billionaires continue to run their business empires from behind bars, taking advantage of strict yet still accessible working conditions. But the most important thing that attracts inmates here is the feeling of freedom within constraints, the chance to escape the nightmare of isolation and maintain family ties, even if those ties are just glimpsed for a day from a cramped luxury cell. Nestled among the green hills of Spain, Arashes is a new type of prison where family ties are not just maintained, but are at the very heart of this concept. On the outside, it's a fortress, but on the inside, it's a place where people serve their time with far fewer hardships. Anyone who ends up here would be amazed. Instead of cold cells, there are cozy apartments, more reminiscent of rather expensive hotels. Female inmates can not only stay here with their children, but also take care of them and give them a childhood. Even if it's within limited walls. In large common spaces, children play happily, unaware of the other world that hides behind the high walls of the prison. The perception of punishment is changing when you witness this unusual system. Parents here not only reform, but also develop a bond with their children, who, in turn, get used to living without fear. Psychologists say that this helps restore human qualities, lost outside the law. Arashes is a symbol of a new approach. Punishment doesn't mean separating families. There's an amazing blend of harshness and care here that makes you think about the future of the entire justice system. Imagine a place where the ruling wealth and prosperity blend with the harsh reality of deprivation of freedom. That's exactly how you could describe life in San Pedro prison. Nothing here is free, and everything costs a pretty penny. From the right to a comfortable cell with teak furniture to access to high-class cuisine. All of this is made possible by an established system of corruption. The illegal businesses of many billionaires thrive despite restrictions and fuel their untapped standard of living. This is the true capital of the hidden world, where money rules everything. For prisoners, it is more of a closed community than a correctional facility, given the conditions provided. Here, a billionaire convinces others behind bars that money makes freedom a concept that goes beyond the concrete walls. San Pedro is full of paradoxes, a prison for the rich that reflects just how limitless the possibilities are for those who have money. Life in prison is rarely associated with luxury, but for certain influential figures, the concept of confinement takes on a different meaning. Pablo Escobar, the infamous drug lord of Colombia, showed how one can turn the common perception of imprisonment on his head. La Catedral, a private fortress built under a special agreement with the authorities, became less a place of punishment and more a symbol of his power. Escobar treated the monument to his wealth and influence like a personal palace. Inside, there was everything. From a jacuzzi and a soccer field to a nightclub and an exclusive bar. Luxury was evident in every detail, reminding one more of Willie than of prison. But even the walls, decorated to the highest standard, could not hide the dark side of his business. After Escobar kills 4 of his associates, his captivity turns into a dangerous game of survival. Having escaped through a secret tunnel, he found himself free again. Proving that for some people, there's no barrier that can hold them back. Escobar's story is a reminder that money and influence can create the illusion of freedom, even in places where light rarely penetrates. But financial means don't save you from the real demons lurking behind those luxurious facades. In Haldenfengsel, the most comfortable prison in Norway, billionaires convicted of crimes feel more like participants in a social experiment. In this prison, inmates have almost everything. Cozy cells with modern design, TVs, computers, and even private bathrooms. The spacious rooms are filled with light, and the tall windows offer a view of the surrounding nature. That can be enjoyed in designated areas. Rest. One of the most famous prisoners was allegedly a businessman who admired how the system here was aimed at preserving human dignity and social rehabilitation. He was given the opportunity to visit a music studio, where he not only immersed himself in the world of art but also made plans for the future beyond the prison walls. The staff, most of whom are women, create an atmosphere of trust and understanding. This approach has been shown to be effective in reducing levels of aggression and relapse. Haldenfengsel is an example of how even behind bars, one can lead a full and culturally rich life. Luxurious prisons are a paradox of our time, where money and influence can blur the lines of conventional justice. By observing the lives of billionaires behind bars, we see how reality is flexible for the privileged few. Contrary to traditional notions of punishment, these elite institutions are becoming places for self-development and rethinking life. But the main question remains: what does the future of justice look like in the world? Where can luxury get in the way of making it happen? Dive with us into a world where secrets hide behind bars and there's always room for unexpected twists. I have a very interesting offer for you. If you love interesting stories and can tell them in a fascinating way, know how to edit videos or even voice them, you can become a part of our team. Write to our Telegram bot, link in the description. See you next time.